Hi, I'm Erin. Our hunters from California were nice enough to bring me a whole bunch of apples straight from the orchard. And that means I have a full day of work here in the kitchen making delicious apple pie filling. Join me and keep watching to learn how I do it on our Wyoming Life. Homemade pie filling is delicious, and making a pie with canned pie filling couldn't be simpler. Roll out a crust, add the filling, top it with another crust, and bake it until it's golden brown and bubbly. However, making the pie filling is a little bit more work, but the end result is definitely worth the hassle. It also tastes a million times better than anything that you're going to find in a can. There's way less sugar, and there's no artificial colors or preservatives. Our California hunters brought me 3 boxes of beautiful apples from an orchard near their home. I've made peach and cherry pie filling before, but never apple. When I found out that they were bringing me apples, I knew that apple pie filling was going to be on my to-do list before the hunters left the ranch. As with all canning recipes, it's important to make sure to use an approved and tested recipe to make sure that your end result is safe to eat. I found a recipe from Ball Preserving that I will be following. Also, before you get started, make sure that you have purchased some clear gel. Clear gel is a modified food starch that is used as a thickening agent in pie filling for canning recipes. Cornstarch and flour are no longer recommended when you're home canning pie filling. Before we get started on the apple part of the pie filling, the quart jars are loaded into the dishwasher. The dishwasher will be done about the time the filling is ready to be packed. Now we're on to the tedious job of prepping the fruit. This KitchenAid attachment will make the job a little less daunting. It's easy to use and it fits into the attachment hole on the top front part of the KitchenAid stand mixer. The peeling blade gets added and then it's time to start peeling. It's very simple to use. Jab an apple onto the spike, turn on the mixer, and let the blade do the work of peeling. Once it's done, pull off the apple and repeat for the next 2 hours or until you finally get through all the apples. My mom Rita comes to help me, so she gets put to work slicing the apples into wedges. Once they are sliced, they get placed into some lemon water to help keep the apples from turning brown. It's a 1/4 cup of lemon juice to 4 cups of water. After all the peeling and slicing is done, the apples are measured so that we can tell how much of the clear gel and other ingredients are needed. Since there were 4 different kinds of apples, they were also mixed together so that the final product can contain all 4 varieties. Now some math skills are needed. We're going to be doing the recipe times 5. All the ingredients listed in the recipe are multiplied by 5 to make sure that we end up with enough of the gel to cover the apples. We combine the sugar, clear gel, cinnamon, nutmeg, and cloves into a large pot. Apple juice and cold water are then added, and then the heat gets turned on to medium, and we wait for it to boil. It's making sure that you stir along the way. While waiting for the boiling to happen, the lemon juice water can be drained off the apples. Here's the crazy thing about clear gel. Once it starts to thicken, it looks disgusting. It gets very thick and slimy looking, and it thickens pretty slowly. It is absolutely necessary to scrape the bottom of the pot to keep it from sticking. It will eventually all thicken into a very thick, uniform gel, and you'll still be able to stir it, but it does take some work. Once it boils, lemon juice is added to the pot, and then we bring it back up to a boil. Now the apples can be added. And this is where things really start to get messy. The apples are in 2 separate containers, and approximately the same amount is in each container. We try to add the same amount of clear gel to each container and then stir everything together to incorporate the gel and the apples. Jars are pulled out of the dishwasher and the filling can now be added. It's important when canning pie filling to remove all the air bubbles from the jars. A knife inserted into the jar and moved around the edge will help get rid of all of them, as well as packing the jars slowly and making sure that there's no gaps. As in any canning job, the rims are wiped clean and a hot lid is placed on top of the jar, and then we follow it by a ring to hold the lid on. The jars are then placed into a water bath canner, and they're canned per the instructions on the recipe with adjustments made for our altitude. Once the timer is done, the hot jars are carefully removed from the canner, and then they're placed on a cooling rack, and we leave them alone until the next day. The day I made apple pie filling, we had dinner plans with the Hunters at their hotel. Steaks were being grilled, and apple pie was on the menu for dessert. I saved some of the pie filling, and I didn't can it, but I just simply put it into a pie crust, and I baked it. That night, when we ate the pies, everyone said that it was delicious. I asked them if they were just being nice and saying it was good, and they reassured me that they would always be brutally honest with me, and that yes, it was very good apple pie. Pie filling is one of the more daunting canning jobs that I take on every summer. I have made so much jam since I started going to farmer's market in 2010. I honestly could probably make it in my sleep. Pie filling though, well, it's only my 4th time attempting it. And it's actually not that hard. It's just a few more steps than jam. And once you get used to working with the clear gel, it's actually pretty simple. The first time that I used clear gel, I was a skeptic, especially while it was in the thickening process. But once the fruit is added, it's amazing. It makes the pie filling thick and luxurious, plus the end result looks so incredible in the jars once it's cooled. I hope that you get a chance to make some homemade pie filling one day. Or if you don't make it yourself, find someone at a farmer's market that sells it. You won't be disappointed. If this is your first time here, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. We've got lots more coming up on the ranch, including winter planting outside in the high tunnel. We'll see if vegetables can be grown all winter long in Wyoming with no heat. Plus, Mike has lots of cow work to be done in the coming weeks. With calves being sold and the cows will need to be checked for pregnancy, it's going to be a busy month. Help us spread the word and feel free to share any of our videos. And as always, thanks for joining us in our Wyoming life.